up, you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be chatting about something that is bringing me a lot of anxiety. However, Twitch chat did manage to peer pressure me into sharing my concept for Midas, the frame of living metal. Now, if you guys absolutely hate this concept for a video, we're going to blame it on Twitch chat, but I'm also going to blame it on you, because had you been in there in Twitch chat, you could have stopped me from making this mistake. Now, for those of you guys who are unaware, I am streaming all this week, or at least the weekdays of this week, at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time over at twitch.tv/agayGuyPlays. On Saturday and Sunday, I am going to be starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Twitch drops are active just in case you guys want to join me for that and stop me from making more video mistakes. Regardless, if you have never joined me for Twitch chat, we have done a lot of talks about Warframe concepts there before. Some of them are very memey, and some of them slowly turn into something a bit cooler. From the cake frame that we had, because, you know, baked goods are always delicious, but also very, very evil to someone on keto. From the combo-themed samurai frame that we've got going on, there's a lot of things. Regardless, I figured that I would go ahead and start things off with an iconic frame, a metal frame. Of course, because Storm C3R3 has been known as rose gold for as long as I've been around, and we had to kick things off with this one, so Midas was on the block. Now, for those of you guys who are curious at all as to how I handle any of these kind of like frame concepts, I really like to design within the space that already exists as Warframe. Like, I'm not gonna have a Warframe that turns into a helicopter. You know, I'm not going to metamorphosize into other enemies that are out there and have to use their kind of like weaponry and AI. No, I want to stay within the actual world of Warframe, what Warframes can do, and use the mechanics that are currently in game. However, use them in very interesting and different ways from what we've seen. Now, when it came down to designing a metal frame, we've already got a couple metal and like rock themed frames out there, so I kind of wanted to stay around away from like the typical iron skin. I also wanted to stay away from Atlas, namely, because when we're talking about Midas and turning things into gold, I totally saw like gold golems in my head, and I was like, oh, that's already been done. Oh, well, he should have like gold armor that you pick up off of these gold. I was like, okay, no, we have to find different ways and unique ways to do that if we're gonna touch on this. So let's go ahead and let's just jump on in to the concept behind this. Now, the reason that I was inspired, aside from the fact that we've got rose gold going on everywhere, was the fact that the Orokin towers are literally made from these slabs of bioorganic wall. I don't know what else to say, but it's like a meat slab of wall. So I figured if those things could be bioorganic, maybe the metal is too. What if we made a frame that was literally living metal that utilized that in combat? And I was like, we've got fashion, we've got combat, this is perfect for Dress to Kill. So let's go ahead and jump on in to the stats. Now, this is a frame that I really did want to do the whole high health, high armor concept, and you'll see how that kind of plays into everything, starting with Midas's passive. Now, his passive is metallicized enemies that die within affinity range regenerates health for him over time. Now, this can actually stack. I wanted this to kind of like have, you know, maybe it's not super duper crazy dramatic health regeneration, but the more enemies you kill, the faster your health will regenerate. So I really wanted to do that. Now, when it comes to the rest of his kits, I wanted to use some things that we might not have necessarily seen before, specifically the ability to reduce enemy accuracy. The big reason that I wanted to focus on accuracy and other forms of CC that kind of tie into there is because just hasn't been touched too much, and it's gold, it's glittery, I'm distracted, right? So if it can distract me, it should be able to distract enemies as well. So his first ability is Fool's Gold. This metallicizes an enemy and basically turns them into like a metal decoy. It taunts all surrounding enemies to attack it. So think kind of like Octavia's little ball that like rolls around, except it's a stationary target and it's an enemy. If that enemy is killed and there is still duration on metallicize will jump to the enemy that killed it. So basically what it's doing is it's CCing the enemy that is probably the most damaging out of there. So it CCs one spot, forces enemies to kill it, CCs to another spot, and forces enemies to kill it there again. And if you have a long enough duration, it'll just keep jumping and jumping. Now, I don't know if I wanted to have the ability to cast this on multiple targets, because I thought it would be kind of cool to cast Metallicize, and just have hordes of enemies attacking these ones, and the metal would just jump from enemy to enemy to enemy, and it would kind of basically keep them off of you. So it's a form of CC, but also it's a form of CC that feeds into your passive, allowing you to regenerate health over time. So I thought that one was a really cool ability. The next ability, and literally I basically took Oberon for this one because we don't have too many enemies that focus on kind of like making ground patches, and I was like, oh, I would like a little bit of that. So I think we have Oberon and we have Midas that can do that. So I wanted to like include Midas. Oh my god, I just realized that Midas sounds a little too much like Midas. Y'all, listen. The name isn't super duper important to me. If you want to leave a different name down in the comments below as a suggestion, please do that, because I just realized they're so close. But anyway, I took Oberon and I took Necros because that is like the best ship ever, and I just smushed them together. And I was like, all right, we're making ourselves gold mine. So this ability metallicizes a patch of ground. Enemies standing on the patch have their accuracy reduced, because again, it's shiny, it's pretty, oh my god. So they have their accuracy reduced, and then they are dealt bonus damage because they're not paying attention as much, and they drop bonus loot. Because legitimately, if you are a gold frame and you don't have an ability that makes enemies drop bonus loot, what are you doing with your life? We're failing. So I was like, I have to incorporate bonus loot in some way, shape, or form. And I was just thinking in my head the visual of like kind of like a dragon's lair where you literally have all this glittering gold on the ground. So I thought that it would be kind of cool that they're almost transmogrified into more loot for you, right? So gold mine I think is perfect. It does have synergies with a couple of his other abilities, namely his next skill. So as you can see from his first skill, it's CC. His second skill is kind of CC, but also bonus damage. So I wanted to give him something that is offensive, because the rest of his kit is kind of focused on defense and CC. So this is where, I guess for lack of a better term, it's his time to shine with Living Metal. Now this one grants an increased damage reduction. So that's a flat, you know, of course you'll need power strength to kind of boost it to where you want it to be, but it's a flat amount. It doesn't move with the rest of his ability. So that's just boom. And it would be cool if Living Metal like made him like flow with metal, or it made him like granted metal armor or some shit like that. You know, DE loves that kind of bullshit. But it grants increased damage reduction. However, killing metallicized enemies refreshes the duration and grants you bonus damage. So I wanted to kind of have something very similar to Garaz's Splinter Shield, Splinter Storm, Splinter Armor, whatever it's called, you know what I'm talking about. But basically I wanted something that was almost skill-based that would allow you to snowball, but only if you stayed on top of keeping it going. So what Living Metal does is it basically incentivizes you to use Fool's Gold as well as his final ability in order to keep enemies metallicized and kill those metallicized enemies. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do with this is, as you continue to kill enemies with it, it refreshes the duration, but also grants you bonus damage. Now, the bonus damage straight out of the gate, I didn't want it to have a cap. Kind of like Garaz's, you know, Splinter Shield, Storm Armor, whatever it's called. But that thing doesn't have a cap, and it requires you to kind of maintain it and keep on top of using it. So this one, it requires you to use the rest of its abilities to keep enemies metallicized. Right? You kill those enemies that are metallicized, you get a bigger damage bonus, and you kind of snowball. And the cool thing about this is, as the mission goes on, and as missions escalate and get harder, you'll be able to output the damage that you need in order to kind of go along with that. That's kind of why I didn't necessarily want it to have a cap, but I also don't want it to be like Chroma's Fury or whatever it is for his Vex armor, I didn't want it to just stop scaling, and I didn't want it to scale super fast. Like, because you know with Chroma's Fury, literally you can get maxed out on it super duper quick. I want this to be like maybe 10% damage per kill. Maybe even less than that, 5 to 15% damage per kill, depending on maybe your power strength or something along those lines. So I definitely wanted some offensive kick to this mainly defensive set. However, this ability, Living Metal, did synergize with some of his other abilities. Killing enemies in range of Gold Mine or Idolize, which we'll get to later on, will cause you to proc an AoE blind. So not only do you have the damage reduction, not only are you getting the passive, which causes you to regenerate health over time, but it will also allow you to proc a blind that will open enemies up to melee finishers. So this also helps it if you need some assistance to scale. So you can always be, you know, carrying a covert lethality dagger in the back, or just any kind of like melee weapon where it's like, oh, let's kill that enemy. Okay, I killed a metallicized enemy, I can go ahead and kill another one, so on and so forth, stuff like that. So you proc an AoE blind in addition if you're in Gold Mine or in range of Idolize. So let's go ahead and move on to Idolize because we've got our offensiveness. Now let's go ahead and move into the ultimate of defensiveness. Well, it's defensive and kind of debuffing at the same time. So Idolize manifests an Alchemist Stone. You know I had to do this. You know, because it's a frame that turns things into metal. And it converts the enemy's accuracy and defensive and slowly turns them into gold. So basically what happens is as enemies enter this area of effect, so you place down this Alchemist Stone, which you're channeling, by the way, it's a channeled ability. So you hold it down in that area, and basically you get this big AoE that reduces enemy accuracy and slowly kind of chips away at their defenses. So when I say their defenses, I mean shields, armor, anything like that. And over time, you know, I'm not going to say like super slow. I don't want it to be like a creeping slow, but maybe over the course of like 2 seconds, maybe even 2 to 3 seconds, they slowly turn into metal. So now what you can do is you can lay this down in an area, enemies become weaker, and it's more difficult for them to hit you. And basically what ends up happening is as they become enfeebled within the Alchemist Stone, it converts their accuracy, their offensive prowess, and their defensive prowess, and turns that against them and makes them into metal. And so now what you have is you have this enemy that no longer has shields or armor, and they're just basically idols. They're like little statues for you to kill to refresh the duration on Living Metal, which allows you to kind of keep things going, which I think is a really cool kind of synergy. Now, one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to include the defensive debuff in there is because of the fact that the mechanic currently in-game for freezing an enemy or petrifying an enemy makes them invulnerable to CC effects. So that was a big issue that I had with all of this, was because of the fact that, yeah, you can petrify an enemy or you can metallicize an enemy, but what ends up happening if you can't strip their armor to go along with it? So it was like you have to have some sort of component to be able to whittle an enemy down in order to be able to kind of like deal that damage. Because like I always say with like crit builds, right? If you don't have a little bit of status in there to strip away the armor, then you're just gonna be like hitting them for like 10s, because legitimately, unless you get a slash proc in there, you're not gonna be able to do anything. And because of the fact that freezes and petrifies don't allow for procs, then we gotta strip that armor, right? The addition that I wanted to put in there was the accuracy debuff, because basically what happens is it makes it difficult for enemies to hit you at the same time. So you do have some sort of defense part. You're not just kind of like there as a sitting duck. And the cool part about that is it helps out your allies too. So now you have this accuracy debuff that you can layer with Goldmine, because remember, Goldmine also had an accuracy debuff. So layering those two accuracy debuffs should make it very hard for enemies to hit you with all the glistening gold that is happening around there. You get the debuff, you get the metallicization, and then you go ahead and get to be able to fuel your Living Metal and basically become a killing machine. So the additional synergies that go along with this is when cast on Goldmine, enemies will metallicize faster. So now you have the ability to use Gold Mine in tandem with this one to allow enemies to make enemies freeze faster, basically. So you get faster metal on the Gold Mine. I think that's a pretty good synergy, and maybe even it'll cost less energy when you cast it on a Gold Mine. I don't know. I don't want to go too crazy in there, but I feel like I covered all angles with this. He's got his offense, he's got his defense. His place is definitely in the land of CC and support, and also loot, because Gold Mine will give you more loots. And he's very, very survivable, which is something that we kind of miss with frames like Vauban, who has extreme amounts of CC, but can't always keep himself alive if he gets sniped. So this way, Living Metal keeps you alive, you also get some health regeneration to boot, and you get more loot. So I think that's pretty much it when it comes down to Midas. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down in the comments below what a better name for Midas would be. Let me know if you would want to hear about any of the other concepts that we have, maybe something funner, maybe more serious, completely up to you. Or let me know if I should abandon ship and not touch this subject at all ever because you absolutely hated it, because I did have another video planned for today. I let chat decide which one I would do. So if you guys hate this, I can do the other video. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. I hope you guys had fun. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your... Oh, wait. Picture this though. Picture this, Midas, all right? His model, fully metallicized hand. The touch of Midas, you get it? Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!